Okay, moving along here, we're going to talk about what Paul Dennison calls the four states of learning. And you can frame it any way you want, but I think we'll all recognize these. The first one is integrated high gear, then there's integrated low gear, then there's the unintegrated high and low gear. So in integrated high gear, this is where we feel confident, we're comfortable, we got it, we don't have to think about it, we can think and move together, it feels safe. And isn't that about the cutest little picture? That's about as safe a place as you can ask for. So think about something you do where you're in integrated high gear. Like for me, I can type very easily and quickly. I can be in a lecture, take notes, and almost type verbatim because I'm so fast I don't even have to think about it. I don't think about the letters. So it's a no-brainer. So think about something you do where you're integrated high gear. And then we're going to look at integrated low gear. And integrated low gear is the learning phase. This is like if you think about granny gear on a car, or first and second gear where you're going slow, you're stopping and thinking. It's being learned. You have to think before you respond. It's that part to whole. And I remember explicitly when I was learning to ride a motorcycle, I was in my late 20s, and on a motorcycle you have to, there's a front brake and the clutch, and then the back brake is your right foot, and the shifter is a left foot. And I remember when I was learning, I had to think brake, clutch, shift, at least that's what I think it is. I could be wrong, but regardless, I had to stop and think about every action because it wasn't familiar to me. I was learning it. But when we're in integrated gear, where we feel we can go slow, we feel easy and comfortable because we're integrated. So you're going to stop and think about something you do where you're in integrated gear, or remembering a time when you were easy with yourself and learning was pretty easy. Okay, then we get to the unintegrated gears, and we've all experienced this. So in unintegrated high gear, it's I can't, I won't, I quit, I've lost it, I'm frustrated, I'm underfocused, easily distracted, depressed, speechless. So I'm sure we can all think about times where in the unintegrated high gear, for me it was like writing research papers in college. It was a mess. And then that unintegrated low gear where you're not getting it, you're over-focused, you just can't stop, you just keep going and going, and you're spinning your wheels, you're really self-conscious, you're worried, perfectionistic. And my unfortunate best example of this, I had a student in my gifted English class, 7th grade, named Amy, who we started with 5 minutes and got up to about 10 minutes of silent writing a couple times a week. And she would write in her journal, and then right at the end, she would just cross off everything she did with dark enough ink where you could not read it. And this was her, that unintegrated low gear. So obviously, we don't want our students to be in these unintegrated gears. And a lot of times it's because there's some other kind of stressors in their lives. So what we need to do is balance so they can get back into an integrated gear where they can learn. So one of the things you can do is balance when we're stressed, and you saw in the stress videos there, a lot of our blood flow and energy go to the back brain, the reptilian brain, which is concerned about our survival. So what we can do is just hold our forehead or hold the front and back to balance energy between, or put our fingers just over the middle of the eye on the forehead. There are these, what they call emotional stress release points or emotional diffusion points. And you can just kind of hold there until you're feeling a little more centered. So if you think about people that have been upset and you see they do this, we have sort of an automatic reflex for doing this. And we probably don't know that's why we're doing it, but it's going to calm us down. There are these balancing points here that are going to be soothing. So that can really help. You can do it for yourself. You can even do it for kids. You can hold their head for them. It's just going to be centering and soothing. Take a moment and try it now, actually. Pause the video. Okay, so you've probably heard the left side of the brain, the right side of the brain. Really what we're talking about is the Gestalt versus the logic brain. Typically, the Gestalt brain is the right side of the brain. That's the part of the brain that sees the big picture, that likes images, patterns, emotions, color. And the left side of the brain is typically the logic brain, which deals with the small pieces, detail, sequence. Sometimes people are transposed. Sometimes their left brain is more of the Gestalt brain, and the right is more the logic. So that's why we use this Gestalt and logic hemisphere language instead, or you can. But I think if you say someone's left brain, we all pretty much know what we're referring to. So in order to help getting back to that stress, another thing you can do is what Brain Gym they call the thinking cap or a tune-in. And this again comes from the thought of acupuncture. If you look at the little picture of the upside down baby here, you see that the acupuncture points for the head are in the earlobe, and up the back of the ear here is like the spine. So if you were working here, you'd be working like the spine. The reflex points for the spine. The feet reflex points would be here. The knee would be sort of in the front of the ear, and so on. So when you do this move, what you're doing is you're like unfolding your ear, you're opening it out, but don't do it yet. First, it's kind of fun to do a range of motion. So maybe turn your head, go this way or front and back. Or you could do a forward bend and get a sense of how sore you feel, how hard it is to do, any restrictions. Then do your ear pull. So you're going to open up and pull back on your ears. Do it so it's comfortable. It shouldn't be painful. If it is, just go lighter. I've been doing this a long time, so my ears are pretty flexible. And after you do that motion again and just see if you notice any difference. And for me, it feels much easier to turn my head and go in each direction. So that's a great one to do for when you're stressed, when you feel overwhelmed. If you're taking the Rika, for example, this would be a good one to do just for giving yourself a little time and space. It kind of opens up. And right now, my ears feel warm and my head feels a little tingly. So that's an excellent move to explore with. Okay. And I think for the introduction to Brain Gym, that's where we're going to stop.